Hey everybody, hey man, greetings everybody. This is the Political Animal with Wesley Pepper and Mustafa Junado. We have a guest who's actually struggling to log on as we speak. I'm actually multitasking here, but anyway, we'll get to that. Mustafa, how are you doing, my brother?
Not too bad, everybody. Welcome to our third episode of the Political Animal. And I always like to tell people, being a political animal doesn't mean that you like politics or that you vote. It means that with everyday life is political. All you need to do is watch a Shakespeare movie. Anytime there's food and interest involved, that makes you a political animal, whether you like it or not. Now, I'm in Washington, D.C., Mustafa Junado. Wesley is in the Northern Cape, I think, Kimberly or somewhere like that. Am I correct this time? Something like that, yeah. And even though Wesley doesn't like politics, he's still a political animal because he has to figure out how to survive every day. And part of being a political animal is to say the truth about things that are social and political and put people on the spot. So today we're supposed to have Kalisto Chibolo coming today. Right now there are network problems, so he's not here, but we're inspired by his topic, which is that he says destroying old monuments and building new ones for identity. So the way I take that is that in South Africa, there's kind of like with the Rhodes thing, which I am very much against, because Rhodes was a very violent person. I'm not saying that about every white person, but Rhodes was violent. And I think it's very disrespectful to have universities in an African country named after him. But other than that, it gets more complex than that. So what we want to look at is, do we destroy certain buildings and create new ones? Or do we let some of them be that are okay, but we create our own new monuments also? And it's very important because I always like to say the title of this show is going to be Sad Africa, A Name Without a Country, named after the song by Sim. South Africa is named after a coordinate in the southern part of Africa. Even Africa is a Latin name. It's not the name that we have for our people. So the question is, does South Africa need to have a new name, a new flag? Personally, I think so. But we don't have to worry about that because practically we can move on and say that. But the idea is that we need to shed light on naming is important. So language is also a part of politics because it's linked to identity and it's linked to what changes a nation or a group of people who work together. So what I would like to see in South Africa or in the rest of the continent is names, values, monuments which reflect everyone who lives in Africa, whether you're white, black, Arabic, anything. So we'll start with you, Wesley. What are your thoughts on all of this? And I also know we have elections coming up soon in South Africa.
Well, look, man, I've got my thoughts is not as direct as that. So yeah, I definitely agree. Like, look here, Rhodes was a total piece of shit. He was a colonialist. He was actually the true father of apartheid. I mean, look what he did in Zimbabwe. So Rhodes is the exception. Well, there's others as well. So yes, I do believe that some of these structures, especially the monuments, need to change. But so where my counter argument comes in is that, so in South Africa we have other issues that needs drastic attention to. For example, the water crisis that we're having.
Yes.
That's just one on top of my head.
Very quickly, you read my mind because somebody got angry with me, a white liberal guy in America, where I was like, I don't care about taking down names of Confederate generals. Confederates were the people who fought for slavery. I said, what I care about is money and pipelines and water. But continue. Thank you very much about that. That's more important. But go ahead. Yeah.
Look, man. Look. So these things. Well, I agree with you there. These things need money, money, and to change the name. For example, Port Elizabeth's name got changed less than 5 years ago. Okay. It takes millions to change because it also has an international airport there. So these things take millions. I swear, this money could have been directed. I would have felt much more empowered if I had all these other basic service deliveries, and then I can see, oh snap, okay, we can change this and change that. That is a different thing. What I also another, just to add another layer to that, I think there's a lot of politicking going on here. So I'll give you an example. The ANC, and it's not just in all the political parties, will use stuff like that to sort of bamboozle the 99% to say, oh shit, we are actually trying. This is such a big thing. But the truth of the thing is, if I go to my tap right now and I open up the tap, the water pressure is low. What's more important? That's my point.
Yeah. And I'll say this point because I lived in the U.S. where they have monuments named. For example, to me, any U.S. monument is it's what's the word I would use? It's offensive to me, even the U.S. flag. But let me tell you why. Because these colors represent a country that was built upon exploitation of slaves, exploitation of Black people, and imperialism and around the world. But one thing I know is that I don't honor that flag, and I don't care. I even have it on my head, as you can see. But I only did that because it matches with my my sweater. So my point being is that those symbols are not important to me. When I see the American flag, because the Americans complain about the Confederate flag because they had a civil war with the Confederates who were slaves. But America wanted to take down the South, not because of slaves, but because they wanted to move to industrialization, and they used Black labor afterwards. So I'm cynical about flags and monuments anyway, because each one of us has an internal monument within us. So if I drive down a road, I think there's a road in Joburg called Malibongwe. Whether you call it Malibongwe or Ian Smuts, doesn't matter to me. It's just a road. And that name now is empty to me. It means nothing. But what I want to know is how is the road doing and things like that. So that's the point that I would make. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree fully there. To me, at the end of the day, it's a road. I mean, they changed Bree Street in Joburg, the name Bree Street. I don't know if the word Bree Street has got any.
But I like the name Bree because that's what I remember.
I don't know if that is a very
that name is already in my head.
How can you like even the word market? I don't. You understand? I don't.
It doesn't sound like Bree. Bree sounds more. Trust me, I used to take photographs in Bree. I used to write poems about it, walking down Bree Street, and then they have Bree Street rank, taxi rank. That's the name. And the thing about names is that names change meaning. Like, for example, the word Black put upon us people of color and of African heritage, it was meant to be negative. But one of the things about Black imagination or hip hop, if anything, is that now we inhabit the name and we take it, but we give it a new meaning. Bree, to be honest with you, we should never change the name of Bree. You can give it an alternate name, but I lived in South Africa 5 years. I love the name. And there's nothing there inherently racist. It's just named after an old British, whatever. I think Bree is a British, But my thing is that
let me put this angle on here, and this is a bit more controversial, and I can see Kales who's trying to connect here, but he's still not coming.
I hope he gets in.
Yeah. We hope he comes through. Let me give you this perspective over here. Okay, so where I'm right now, the municipality is called Solplaatjie municipality, right? So if you look at who Solplaatjie was, this man was an academic. He was a smart dude. He was actually one of the founding fathers of the ANC. He was a smart fella, man, and he was way ahead of his time. He was a dude that deserved to be celebrated, right? So, so they gave his name to the municipality. The municipality, the municipality is the worst functioning municipality, I think, in the world. So every time you say the word Solplaatjie, the association has changed. It's no longer a Black academic.
The association has changed.
It's corruption, it's mismanagement, it's poor service delivery, and it's no water. So now there is generations and generations. To be honest with you, I'm not saying this is a direct. I'm not saying this is a. I'm not saying they get to do this. But for fuck's sake, man, this thing looks a bit strategic to take out like important icons like that.
Yeah, well, here's what happens. So with language is always about association. It's not about the direct computational meaning. So the computational meaning was that person, but it's more about the connotation. And once language changes, no human being can control it anymore. We just have to take it. For example, I'll use the word, a lot of there's the N-word, nigger, which whites use. And then when Black people say, oh, my nigger, whether people like it or not, that word is still negative. But when Black guys are using it now, or is using hip hop, it has a totally different connotation. And to me, human beings are complex. So we don't want to make the mistake of becoming too holy and being too dogmatic and saying everything has to be logically. We have to remember that we're human creatures and language changes in many ways. And going on to culture, like,
that point over there is such a mature thing. To be honest with you, I only think a very few people actually get that language does change, association does. Like, even if you look at, if I'm use a very controversial thing now, the swastika, the swastika.
Yeah, that used to be an Indian symbol, Hindu.
Yeah.
It was a Hindu symbol.
Exactly. And then it became a symbol for hate, and now I don't even know what it is now. These things change, man. These things change. But unfortunately, I blame
and also the swastika
is
going back. I've noticed that the swastika is going back to its more ancient meaning, which is the Hindu symbolism and everything. And my thing is that if I see a Hindu person put that on his car, even though it brings memories of Hitler and ghost guys to me, if I'm mature, I have to realize that that's not what that person is saying. It's my interpretation based on it. It's the same thing that if you come, let's say a white person comes and says, you know what, I really love Black history. I'm not going to say to them, Black is an evil word, you're evil. No, they're using the word Black as they've been taught what it means, people from Africa and things, you know. But we can go to a deeper philosophical level and still challenge words like Black, but that's a separate thing. So I have two hats. Like if a white person tells me, I love Black culture, I love Africa, I love Nigeria, I love South Africa, I was like, thank you. Now in my mind, I'll be thinking, that person used the word Black in a different context, but in my mind, I'll still think, we still need to get rid of that word within 500 or 600 years because it still has negative connotations. But we have to be flexible as human beings to realize what's in people's hearts, because there are words that I use. Like I know in South Africa, the word colored is accepted. In the US, it's not because of the way it was used for Black people. But when I was in South Africa, if I told someone, oh yeah, this is a color person, in my brain, I could say, don't say that because it's wrong. But if it's accepted with the person that I'm speaking with, then I say, okay, it's fine. But at the end of the day, to me, it's still a negative word, but we need to have some flexibility. And like you said, focus more on things like service delivery, like on getting rid of violence, having everybody has access to amenities, and our governments are free of what you call it? Our governments are free of corruption, because once again, you're converting me. Guys like Malema, who I still like, but he's still an opportunist. So what happens with the government is they take things like, oh, let's change the name of the university from Rhodes to something else, or let's do this or that. It's all a distraction to move away from what's the most important thing, which is why I say we're political animals. The most important thing is that resources are available for everyone. Now, under pure capitalism, it says, oh, the work you do is the work you deserve. But my thing is that the value of money comes from everybody. If you didn't have people who do labor, if you didn't have people who consume things, money wouldn't be worth everything. So I think, I'm not going to say I'm a socialist, but I think that every government around the world needs to have a safety net for every citizen. That's what Ubuntu is. That's what communalism is. But we still hold you accountable for the work you do. But right now, it seems like our governments all over the world are full of people who either want to eat money or spend money on violence to make money off of violence just to eat money. That's what I think. What are your thoughts?
I agree there, almost 100% there, and I mean almost because you can never agree 100%.
Oh, yeah, we have nuances. Everybody has nuances. They have nuances. But I will say that. Go ahead. Yeah. What I was going to say is that if we go back to ancient tradition, to art, to sorcery and things, naming is still important. For example, if you have a university named after Rhodes, to me, it's a disgrace for the Black kids who go. Not a disgrace, but it's not right to them. I think that name needs to be changed. And that's controversial. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely right, because a lot of people will shout, why would you change the name? But we need to, for example, imagine there was a university named after Hitler in Germany. Hitler University.
No, I see. One of the tragic things about naming or renaming something like Rhodes is that Black people themselves, most people will defend that, because to them it's just an institution. Like I honestly blame the education system for that. I think that's where it failed us dramatically, because the fact that we don't really know who this guy really was is a problem.
And I'll go deeper. Rhodes goes deeper. He goes deeper than genocide of Blacks in Africa. It was the Rhodes Foundation which led to, I'll talk about this in a separate episode, it led to World War One. Because a lot of money from Belgium and other places. Where was Rhodes from? I don't think he was from Belgium. Was he from Belgium? No.
He was from the UK. I think he's from England.
UK. Yeah, but he was pumping money into banking with the Africa or the Belgians when they went to South Africa. So what I'm saying, his money went everywhere. It went to World War One. It went to anti-Semitic. It went to the Holocaust. So what I'm saying is that Rhodes represents, to me, it's not just him. It represents a certain Western banking institution that has caused a lot of pain in Congo, South Africa, in Israel, all over the world. And even what we see now, because what we see now in the Gaza is a continuation of the Holocaust with the Jewish people, where they're now translating it they're taking out their angst on the Palestinians. So what I'm saying is that Rhodes, to me, he's even more prolifically violent. And also King Leopold, they're much more violent than Hitler. When you see guys like Hitler, you're only seeing
Leopold killed way more people than Hitler.
Yeah, because my question is, Hitler was racist and evil. Here's my question. how was Hitler able to build the strongest army and most efficient army in the world? What do you think it came? It came from money. And where did the money come? So this is for research for people. And our enemies are the banks. But yeah, I'm going off topic, but my idea is that we need a balance between naming things. And I do think that in certain regions in South Africa, we need more monuments that reflect
well, looking at, let me put a let me sort of put this on the table. So what we're now 30 years into democracy. So what the current government did was is that now they just named everything after ANC stalwarts and Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
I think Mandela's got more stuff named after him than I think any.
Yeah,
there's a stat somewhere that I read. I don't know how many people, universities and this not in Europe is named after this dude. I've got I was robbed violently on Nelson Mandela Bridge one year. I had my rent, I had my cell phone in like the early 2000s. I was on my way to my flat and I got robbed there by a knife point. And I'm not isolated. The irony on that, like, it just blows my mind every time I think of it. They put up this structure sort of to celebrate, African technology, African engineering, and this icon. But like the bridge, people are being marked on it.
And so I know what you're talking about, because I know exactly the bridge you went to, because I used to go to Vince. If you walk across that bridge, you see the train tracks underneath, right?
Yeah.
And walking towards north, in this almost the same coordinates, I had my iPad on. I was listening to my iPad. I saw 3 black guys watching me. They were looking at me as I was walking. I said, "Oh, hi guys." Then when I walked, I saw them look. I realized, oh, I'm about to be robbed. Same area. They surrounded me. But here's the beauty of it. They didn't beat me up. They took my phone and I said, "Can I please have my SIM card because I need to call my family?" They gave me the SIM card back. No, but the point I'm making is that
it's the same area.
Yeah, it's the same area though. It's the same area. And that bridge is fantastic. It's a fantastic structure. And we will also say South Africa has fantastic infrastructure in general in some parts. The roads in South Africa are just as better than the roads in the US. Only Germany has better roads. But like you said, what's the point of having all these glossy things, these monuments? But we still have people who are suffering to a point at which crime is out of control. Niobe is out of control. Gangs are out of control. Tick, and it's affecting everybody. Tick is affecting white, blacks, everybody. Cocaine, violence. So my thing is that renaming structures is important because it's a ritual. But once again, we call this show The Political Animal. The first thing we need to ask ourselves is, how do we change the social economic situation?
Well, so that's where I'll start. And I personally feel that, and this is not a South African problem. So I'd like to get your point about the US as well.
Oh yeah, it's a problem here too.
The quality of politician has dropped dramatically. I don't. I think these people are just opportunists. Some of them are just celebrities. Some of them are businessmen, and some of them are like real gangsters, like actual gangsters. It's just, I don't know how they manage to, I guess.
Well, I'll give you an example.
As long as you pay.
I'll give you an example. Yeah, I'm not saying that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Hani and what's his name, Biko or Mandela. I'm not saying that those guys are saints, because a lot of guys insult them, and we should.
Yeah.
But can we name one person to date in the whole world who's even as good as they were? No. Now we just have businessmen. Putin, EFF with Ramaphosa. They're all businessmen. Macron. So my thing is that now I see you as a leftist. You're a leftist. So back in the day, people would be like, Mandela, we don't want to hear it. We want money. We don't care that. But my thing is that compare Mandela to even to Obama. Empty. Obama's empty. Because at least Mandela was fighting for liberation before. Then maybe he got corrupted. I don't think he was corrupted. I think Zuma was corrupted. But I think Mandela was just a figurehead. But my point is that you can't even name any person in the world, black or white, who's even on the level as Mandela anywhere in the world today. And if you look at the black leaders in America, it's hip hop guys, Jay-Z and Kanye West, who are sex traffickers and cocaine dealers. That's what they are. They're sex traffickers and cocaine dealers, and they're getting their money from I'm not going to use the J word. They're getting their money from record producers who are purposely destroying the black community. Kanye West got in trouble for saying Jewish businessmen. You can read between the lines. I'm not saying any groups, but my point being is that there is a concerted effort around the world to destroy black and African culture. And 40 years ago, when I was growing up, Martin Luther King was our leader. Today, Jay-Z is our leader. And say, oh yeah, Jay-Z is a capitalist. Get yours.
That's a good point.
And the way you make it as not capitalist, but the way you make it as a capitalist within the system is to just look out for yourself. Jay-Z and Kanye West have been involved in trafficking. Jay-Z admitted it. I made my money through drugs. So you made your money in a business in which Black people kill each other to put money in their pocket.
Let's actually expand on that a little bit because how you phrased was great. Like 40 years ago, we had Malcolm X was our leader. Now it's Jay-Z, and like we can even look at
that's a topic for our cultures.
That's actually very good. That's actually very good because you could say like who's our leaders. We have a guy here called Gayton McKenzie, and this guy's a gangster and he's a bully. He's a bully and he's about power. He's not about the people, and he uses Black poor. He uses genuine issues within the community.
As, he's an opportunist. He's an opportunist.
Hey, I'm this is the second time for the day. I missed the word, but anyway, you get it.
Don't worry about it. Look, this is Political Animals. Look, I got my wine here. It's all good. There's
no wine today, but I was recording.
Maybe that's the problem.
And I had a bit of a crazy day. Look, man.
But this has been a good show so far.
It has.
I love this show.
And this is such a powerful point, man, because we spoke about this on one of my previous episodes, that it's only the Black community that will allow hip hop artists, comedians, actors to be leaders. You don't find that among the African
and they're not leaders.
You find among the white community, and they are poor. Yeah, and the quality of the music is also not that great either. So you have to start questioning these things, man. Personally, I don't trust or like any of these guys.
But let me say one thing about African culture. So I'm not going to say whether Africans are racist or not, but I think African culture is kind of like Nigeria. It's very tribal because they also hated the British. Yeah. They're very tribal. But if you look at their music and their culture, it's more communal. Like I said, African music sounds a little bit to me like country music in America.
It's on the same wavelength, yeah.
And it's not anti-Black. It reflects. But the thing is that because Africans were also very violent in Africa, we remember that. But if you look at their culture is not very capitalistic. It's more communalistic. And within their culture, they have Ubuntu within their culture. And I would say that the British did more damage to South Africa than the Afrikaans did. Definitely, politically and everything else. The British were more violent. Yeah, that's what I would. Maybe you're wrong because you know the history.
And the British were very strategic. I mean, like if you look at Cecil John Rhodes, David Livingstone, like all these guys that came before the British officially came in 1820, and I mean all these had all these other generals and people that came. I think the British were way more shrewd. I mean, they did conquer a fifth of the world.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Britain and Rome are the same. So to me, African culture is more visceral. So Africans may be violent, but the biggest danger is like Britain. It's because Britain is systematic violence and racism, which becomes so detached that it doesn't seem violent. It just becomes strategy. Same thing like in Haiti. In Haiti, if you come and invade them, they'll use cutlasses to kill three of you. In Britain, somebody can just press a button and say, okay, send 5,000 troops to India and kill them for their tea. And then on TV, we say it nicely. So it doesn't look as violent, but it's actually more dangerous. And we also have to remember that it's because of the British. That's why we have the problem with Israel and Gaza. Because in Lebanon, Hebrews and Muslims were living well together. Then the British came and said, let's create a state. But they always do everything. And also the British caused the problem between Muslims and Hindu, which led to the break between Pakistan and India. But they always do everything in a very formal manner, so it doesn't look as same thing. How many lives is King Leopold responsible for in Congo? Millions. But he was never there. But there were people, he just signs a paper saying Congo belongs to me, and all of a sudden people in Congo's arms are being cut off. Same thing with Rhodes. Rhodes is responsible for masses of genocide. And I'll say this, Dave, if you ask me who do I want to have dinner with, Hitler or Rhodes, I'll say neither. But I'll sit down with Hitler before Rhodes because Rhodes has a higher body count and he's anti-African and has caused a lot of destruction. But that's a story for another day. So what are your thoughts? We're going to wrap up soon if Khalifa is not able to make it, but we still have elections and everything.
Just a quick point on
Go ahead.
Kaliso. So he's struggling to log on. Yeah, I see it keeps coming off. He actually had a suggestion early on that was trying to see how else we can we can package this. I actually told him I'll get back to him in a few minutes.
Yeah, maybe we have to do it Saturday or something. But if we do it, just let me know, because we really want to talk to him, because he was the one who inspired our show today, talking about his. I think the way he said it was destroying old monuments and creating ones which exemplify our values. But my thing is, and I agree with him. So what he's thinking of his Black values, true. So my thing is, there needs to be a mix.
Yeah. Let me get back to the point you made. Or rather, the question you made earlier on about South Africa. So the election. So there's two. Well, it's one point, but it's two examples. So just bear with me. So as you know, there's political posters everywhere, right? And I've noticed that with the MK, so that is the Jacob Zuma faction, right? If you look at like Zuma, like today, as in right now, he's old and he's frail and he looks sick.
It sounds like Biden. Sounds like Biden. Go ahead.
But Zuma's a bit more on the Zuma's got a bit more weight.
Yeah.
So because he lost a bit of it, you can see it on his body. But just bear with me. So he's not looking healthy, right? The MK is using an image of him on their posters that is from his first term as a president. So that's well over 10 years ago, where his speech was full. He still looked like he got energy. I find that some skullduggery going on there. Why don't they show what the real man is like?
That's
the second one, the IFP, right?
Okay.
Mangosuthu Buthelezi died, I think a few years ago, and he died.
That was the leader of the Zulus, right? The leader of the Zulus, right?
He was the leader of the Zulu party from KZN. So that is the biggest.
I remember him from 20 years ago
in South Africa. So if you talk demographics, there's nobody more big and more powerful than the Zulu nation. And they're using a dead man on their posters, bro. The man is dead, and they still use an image of him where he was old and frail. I don't get it. What are these people trying to say? Don't they have leaders that young, good look? Well, it doesn't always be good looking, but like young, fresh, at least energetic leaders.
Of course,
they're using frail, like dead people on their posters. Do you know what I meant? If you drive and you look at that, it really leaves a very like, what are these people doing?
So Wesley, it's the same thing in America. So we have Donald Trump, who's 78. We have Biden, who's 82. Old patriarchs. And here's what I believe. There are young voices that want to do big things in Africa and in America. But the powers that be continue using the old people so we can have the status quo. Keep on having the status quo. But also, I think Zuma's being manipulated because South African elections is weird, man. I think DA may be even orchestrating the rise of his party to undermine EFF and ANC. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just a political strategy. What do you think?
I think it all is, and I think it's all coming at the expense of working class people. Because honestly, you can ask any working class person, any tax paying person, now they don't give a shit about that. They want water in the taps, they want electricity, and just basic services. That's also the another thing what I think that making this election hearing.
Yeah.
So it's costing. It's that
go ahead. Yeah.
It's taking genuine concerns and weaponizing it and making it as if, my man, like honestly, the working class person doesn't care about how or all these complex political language and lexicon. We just want basic service delivery. And to see dead people on our roads and saying I have to vote for them is it's kind of insulting.
Yeah. So there's two problems. So here's the problem. So what you're saying is true. So what I think is that we need to realize, like what you say, that voting doesn't solve anything. So what we need is a people's union. So what you need is a people's union, which rallies people to worry about. We need water, we need housing, and if we lose our jobs, we need pension, and food needs to be acceptable price. But here's the new problem. Because of years of subjugation, Black people in South Africa and Nigeria have we have gender-based violence, we have gay-based violence, and we have a lot of behaviors within our community now, which will undermine the true movement for democracy. So like, for example, let's say you go to a bunch of people in Deep Slough or in Mississippi in America, and you say, you know what, we're pushing for improving our environment and everything, but also let's stop beating our women and let's stop attacking gays and let's stop doing that. They're like, footstep, man, we don't want to hear that. So now we have a double problem. You understand what I'm saying? We have a problem in which the average man doesn't want to hear about complex stuff, but they also have developed through anger and subjugation very anti-social behaviors, which actually hold us down politically. You see what I'm saying? So you see the problem. It's a very big problem.
I agree fully. It's all by design and it's all strategic. That's why we're so frustrated as taxpayers.
But I agree with you that the first step is to deal with the economic issues. So let's not that we're ignoring. We know that tomorrow, if Africa becomes liberated, it will still be an unjust society because within Africa we have anti-female sentiments. We have patriarchal, not only in Africa, because to me, the West is more patriarchal than Africa, but I'm not focusing on Africa. I'm focusing on us. Within our communities, we have too much misogyny, hate, abusive level towards women and children. We have Black on Black violence. We have a number of things which even after we get rid of Western oppression, we have to deal with. And these things are stopping us. So it's a very complex, but the first step is for us to rally in our communities and have a very basic, here's my basic message. This is Ubuntu. No matter where you live in South Africa, women, children, and men, even a psychopath can't argue. He just has to pretend. So that's what we want. We want money, we want food, we want service delivery, and we want safety. Because if you ask a man, do you want somebody to beat up your sister or your mother? They'll say no. Then I'll say, then don't do it to anybody else's sister and mother. That's how we have to talk. We don't say, misogynation, feminism. I say those things are wrong, but those things start getting philosophical. What you say is, this is the territory where our mothers and our sisters live and they'll be safe. Don't attack anybody else's mother or anybody else's sister. You see where I'm getting at. So we need to have a new philosophy and a new way of putting things, which isn't so abstract, which is more down to earth. Because where I come from, Nigeria, in Nigeria, I'm not going to beat another person's sister because tomorrow they'll come to my house and maybe they'll kill me. You get my point? So the idea is protect your sisters. Once you say that, protect your sisters, and also sisters, protect your brothers too, because I don't want to sound like I'm a patriarch also. So in other words, we protect our people in our neighborhoods, and also we look out for our people. And if anybody within our neighborhood is unjust, then we have to apply justice. And what I mean by applying justice, I don't mean killing people. It means that everybody within your community has to be held accountable for their behaviors. And that is actually African culture. Not only African, any culture. If you go to Europe, in Europe, you had gypsies, you have Irish people, you have people who have, before the West rose in Rome. It's called folk culture. It doesn't matter where you're from. Folk culture means live with your neighbor peaceably and use justice to solve problems. Hopefully it doesn't have to get to super violence. But unfortunately, like for example, if I live in America, if somebody comes to America and starts attacking, it's not that I'm defending America. I'm actually defending my space because I need to live. Yeah. So I'll let you in. What are your thoughts on what we talked about so far?
No. I think that is I think we can definitely expand on 40 years ago we had Malcolm X. Now we've got Kanye West.
I think that, and once again, to be honest with you, we have to move further because I hear a lot of young South Africans saying, "Sis, man, fuck Mandela," and I'm like, don't say that because Mandela isn't perfect. And to be honest with you, he was actually slightly ineffective at his old age. But let's respect our elders for taking the first step. Now we need to take what they were doing and take it to another step. My thing is that with like you said, who do we have now? Jay-Z.
There's not a single leader that I can say right now. I look up.
Okay, Wesley, can you name one leader in Africa? No,
I can't.
I can't.
There's not a single one
in the world, and the only one I can name is a bandit, Jimmy Chergier in Haiti. No, so what happens is, and he's a gangster, and also Mugabe is a gangster. Was a gangster. But what they do is that they're smart enough, just like Putin. They're smart enough to make sure that whatever group they come from benefits enough so that they don't get taken down. But I'm going to go beyond. We don't need to worry about politicians anymore. What we need to worry about, and I'm using the word, I call it a people's union. People need to realize that voting is not democracy. Democracy within justice, because there's two types of democracy. Democracy where there's the numbers rule. So if there's 90 people and say slavery is right, that's democracy. We're talking about social democracy. So social democracy is where there's a consensus among the people that everything has to go well. And that can only happen if the people take accountability for government and stop relying on people you can vote for. For example, stop saying Julius Malema is my hero. No, you are your hero. Your mother's your hero. Your dad's your hero. And also start with your neighborhood. Look out for your neighborhood and then expand. So that's why I said, because we always disagree, but I always say, I'm a political animal, but I don't believe in voting. And I definitely know you don't. But are you going to vote next elections?
I am. I have to. It's a bit of a.
I'm not against voting.
I'm not against voting on that.
I'm not against voting. I'm not against voting.
I'm not,
because I say vote for Trump. Vote for Trump.
But
go ahead. Yeah.
But I feel I need to give somebody, especially like I'm not so much interested in the national government. I'm more interested in the local government, where our property is involved, because I'm trying to protect the property, and I think that's important.
Yeah. So this is the same story in America, which is that I will vote in local elections before I will vote in the presidential, because in the local elections, it's people that I know. So that is a message that Wesley's giving us.
And it affects me. It impacts me directly. So with regards to that, yes, who I still don't know. I mean, I'm going to make my mind up probably while having coffee before in the morning or something. It'll be on the spur of the moment type of thing, because I just don't. But I know who I'm not going to vote for. I can tell you that.
Vote DA. This is going to sound controversial. Vote DA or EFF, but don't vote ANC, because ANC already had their chance and they fucked up.
Yeah,
but
yo, man,
at the end of the day,
let's wrap up.
At the end of the day, real quickly, at the end of the day, I don't blame anybody for voting for any party, but we just have to realize that no matter who you vote, but whatever party you vote for, that's only half of the story. You have to go out in your communities. When you go out in your community to improve it, that's political action. So I'll let you end, Wesley. Thank you. This is actually our greatest show. Hopefully we get Kaliso next time, but you can finish up.
We'll chat about that offline or when we're done here, because there's a few messages here. But just everybody, man, thanks everybody. Check out my latest episode. We're gonna publish that on the 19th of April. It's very cool. We spoke to Bilani Nondi from Zimbabwe, a good old friend of mine, and probably, in my opinion, one of Africa's best writing experts. So look out for that. And man, big up Mustafa. This was a good recording.
Thank you. So I want to say one more thing. Thank you to Wesley, because Wesley invited me on his show years ago before I did podcasts. Now I'm a podcast animal. But he started me and I was nervous. So Wesley is my mentor, and he's a Pan-Africanist, and we want you to watch the Lexia and his other shows. He used to do the African Genius. You got to get it back on, man. And also Wesley and I are going to be doing a special show next month in honor of Zim, the South African. I don't want to mess up his last name. I think
Look out for that.
Akwana. Yeah, we're going to do that because one thing I say, South Africa has the best jazz on earth. Love South Africa, love Nigeria, love the world.
Everybody.
Love everywhere, even America. So good night, Wesley. Thank you. This is a very good show, and we'll talk later. One love.
Good night.
Much love
we'll
to
talk
you.
later. One love, people.